It's that time again.
Good evening. Too much. Extra.
Lit.
And you're drinking caffeine.
Woohoo. Anyway, hello everybody. You gotta stay in You gotta stay in the picture. All
Yes,
right.
dear.
Don't get out of the frame. You know I gotta work with her with that. You got room. You got room. You can give yourself a little room. Now I want to thank all of you who have responded by Facebook messaging and notes, emails, and I want to specifically thank the person who said, "I'd like to see you with your camera at eye level." But we can't.
What were we doing before?
No, it was lower and it was shooting up.
Oh, okay.
So now we put the camera at eye level.
Okay.
How's this? Is this better? Give us a thumbs up and hit us up and let us know. Well, it is eye level, Cheryl.
Make your iPad. so it must not be eye level.
Well,
Maybe she wants it up further.
Well, I thought I'd cut your little head off. I had it higher. But I think we'll go with this right now because eye level for her and eye level for me.
Well, just do eye level for me.
It is eye level for you. I mean, if I put it higher, half your hair will be gone. Anyway,
Yes,
Cheryl, thank you. And thank you for sending that we wanted at eye level because this is close to eye level. That's about for her. But tell us, hey, look, again.
Tell us what you want.
Tell us how you like
Get
it,
started.
how it's working,
Now we're down to 28 minutes.
and how things are looking. Well, thank you all for your responses and for Happily Married Mondays. So many people. A little high if you can, but it's better than before. Okay,
Oh,
I
thank
got
you.
it. Thank you. All right, let me see what I can do. While you talk to them, tell them what we're going to do tonight.
Tonight we're going to talk about romance and finance, mainly about finance. Finances together as a couple. Okay.
No, I got it. It's all good.
Oh, Lord. How is that?
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to cut off your little head.
Okay.
Look.
And this refers to the chapter at the end of our book, which talks about it's about the money. It's about the money, honey.
About the money, honey.
It's about the money, honey.
Actually, the name of the chapter is
It's about the money. I think so. It's about the money. But what?
Count the Cost. Money Matters.
Yes.
And it is about the money, honey.
It's about the relationship first.
Right.
The love relationship, and as a result of the love relationship, the marriage, the money is important to the
Right.
success of the success of the marriage, because women want security and intimacy, while men want primarily, what would you say?
Sex and respect.
All right.
But the money plays such a
Because
vital
it provides security, stability, and I wanted to focus on that also because, was it week before last, I had a friend while we were on travel who asked me a question because she's concerned about the fact she thinks her husband's running around. That's a whole nother, and he makes significantly more money than she does, and she's concerned that he does not provide her with ready access. He changed the password to the account. So my first question was, so how long have you been married? 25 years. I said, you've been married for 25 years and you guys don't talk about the accounts, your financial account, your investments, your household accounts, your individual accounts. She said, as I have heard some other people say, well, he says, don't worry about it. Okay, don't worry about it. What if something happens to him and you don't even know the passwords to the account? So I had to talk her down off the ladder and give her some suggestions as to how to find out more about her accounts, like talking to her financial advisor and simply saying, you know what, I don't have all the passwords, and like, send me the latest statement, because she was not getting the latest statements. Both of their names on the account, but she was not getting the statements. They went directly to him.
And she didn't know it. She had no idea where the money was.
She had no idea that he also had a couple of accounts that he had not told her about. That's not good. So, nothing I can do about that, but it brings up the importance of, are you talking about your finances, what you bring to the table, and then discussing it at least monthly when you pay the bills. I know there's one person in this arrangement, business-wise and personally, I do the day-to-day, the nuts and bolts of the finances. But everything we talk about, and then we have a formal meeting of, this is how the finances look, this is the profit and loss statement, because we're running a business as well as the personal. Here's what our retirement accounts look like, the 401k, the Roth IRA. Why? Because he's tight with $1, but then I'm also concerned about where is the money, and in the event that something happens to either one of us, how can we move forward without losing everything that we have accumulated? So we talk about tonight romance and finance. That's kind of the lay of the land of why we're going to talk about that. And there are a lot of moving parts to that. So why don't you give them a little bit of background of what we discovered when we were preparing for writing the book and that particular chapter, that there are basically three
systems
that the successful couples that we've interviewed deal with their money.
Right. So we wrote about our situation with money, but then we interviewed people who had been married 30, 40, 50, 60 years, found some interesting revelations as well as some trends that was consistent. So here's what we found out. That the way people typically handle their money depended on age and stage, and one other thing, age and stage, and their family background, where they came from and how money was handled by their parents or somebody who raised them. So let's first talk about age and stage. We found that most people who got married right out of high school or right out of college were with nothing. In other words, no assets. They had nothing, so they created what we call or used the one pot system. All the the money goes into one pot. That is not a lot of assets, so all the money goes in one pot, and one person is responsible for writing the monthly checks. But they talk about it, and they create a system. Our pastor, he talks, that's how they did it, but they married really young. They married right out of, he was in his early 20s, she was early 20s. Our friends Kenny and Rudine Glass, the same deal. And they were able to master that system and maintained it even when they became successful. And so Rudine and Kenny talk about it now. They got one pot, and they're very successful. I think their children are in their 30s, so they've been married for, I don't know, they've been married for almost 42 years, I think. Anyway, then we found that people who were married in their mid to late 20s, maybe had an apartment, maybe had a car, often
had their own bills.
What we found with them was what they do, a two-pot strategy or system where they split the bills. One person took the mortgage, one person took the utilities, one person took this, one person took that. And we saw that in a number of couples. Now, when we were talking with our church mate, Michelle Singletary, who is the
Color of Money,
Washington Post syndicated columnist, nationally, the Color of Money. She doesn't like that system because it creates a roommate mindset.
But it works for some people.
It works for some people. And one of the couples who used it, their parents used the same system. So they had grown up in that system. The parents had done it. They did it.
And they handled it successfully.
And it worked for them. Yeah, to this day, it works. Mm-hmm. And if one person need a little more money, they'll talk about it.
But the key is the constant communication.
Constant communication.
And no hidden agendas.
And no hidden agendas, no hidden accounts. All right. Now, third one, though, is the one that we did, which was, and we found this with people who were typically in their later 20s, early 30s, or later.
Have stuff.
They got stuff.
Baggage, all kinds.
They got mortgages. They got 401k.
Children.
They got children. They come with stuff. They might have their own house. They got blended houses and all of that. they typically found those were the three-pot system, which is what we did because she's already told you that I am frugal. You can call it cheap, frugal, whatever. I am tight with $1. I'm going to squeeze it to the dollar.
So I had accounts, he had accounts, and then we started the household account. But our names are on all of the accounts.
Let me say that again. Listen to what she said. I had a checking account when we got married. She had a checking account when we got married.
And savings.
And savings.
And
Right.
investment. Okay.
Right. But we created a household account where we set a budget, and every month I would make a deposit or contribution to the household.
And I would.
And she would, and we would pay off the bills as they were needed. And her name was on my account. My name is on her accounts.
Yes.
Or my accounts, and her name's on her. My name's on her accounts, and we have them all now. Now we didn't have it then, but now we have them all on it and a
Online, and we can see it.
Online,
so
and
every
we can
time
see
we
it.
go to that bank account, all of our accounts come up.
Right now it was paper years ago.
Yeah.
You know, we'd see it come in, and we'd watch each other, and we knew what each other had in terms of their personal as well as the household, and that works for me. Okay, let me tell you why it works for me, because she likes shoes, and she likes yoga stuff and stuff like that, and she goes and get her little shoes.
And you like toys.
I like toys. I like to go electronic toys.
So
I like
he gets to go deal with his
I
electronic
got
toys.
I got all sorts of toys. I got every kind of toy. I got a toy here. I got a toy there. I got a toy everywhere. And so I want to get a toy.
So the toys are not mingled with the household money. Now, in some instances, people will say, with some, they're like, we have a certain amount of money that we can, a limit that we have before we have to have the discussion with the other person as to what to
And
spend.
I don't know how they do it because, see, it would have been a problem. She bought some shoes out of the household, this one
Regardless
pot.
of what the money...
It would have been a problem. And we have never had an argument about money. We never had an argument about money because we created a system that worked for us. And so we knew what the deal was, we knew what the budget was, we knew what we
I
both
think it's the
contributed.
honesty and it's the communication. Whether you decide, well, you know what, we have one pot and you can spend up to this without having a conversation with me, or is it the two pot where we will split everything 50-50, or it's the three pot where you have the household account and two separate his and her accounts with all information available for everybody. It's the communication.
Communication
It's the
and not
communication.
hiding any agenda. No secret accounts. And that's a big one because we find people who will hide a little money here, hide a little money there. She knows every penny I have. And part of that is our trust level for each other. I trust my wife implicitly. Now let me say that I trust her implicitly with every dollar because we've gone through the times, even in our business, where
It was tight.
it was tight and
Real tight.
real tight. And then one time we had a little issue. I didn't holler. I didn't have an argument.
I went over the budget.
This was business, not personal. This was business, and she was a new in the business, and she hired a
I went
consultant.
over just went over the budget. That's
Went
all.
over, and I.
He was steaming.
Ooh, because that was more money that we paid this woman than I made in a month.
Yeah.
And so I had to go take a ride.
So I had to learn about how to even interview someone for services rendered,
Right.
and
So
to be on target with that, not a guesstimate. So that's a whole nother issue. Let's get back to this
all right.
romance and finance.
Romance
okay?
and finance. Okay.
So, in terms of doing some background research, I'm out of the frame. Charles Schwab in 2016 did research which said that while we women deal a lot with the day-to-day financial operations, did you know that when it comes to the investing and the long-term strategies, women are normally not involved?
Yes.
No, with husbands and wives,
Yes.
the women are not normally involved. And that presents a problem because if something were to happen to the male member, like with my friend whose husband says, well, you know, I've got it under control, when something happens to the mate, you have no idea as to where the resources are. as to how the finances are actually running, and that's a problem.
Right.
Another thing that comes up is that if there is a breakup in the family, if there's a divorce or if the person dies, that if the male dies, the female is normally not comfortable talking to a consultant or a financial advisor. And so they are not as financially solvent as they possibly could be because they're not getting ongoing education and information when the husband and wife are together. They're not learning how to build their finances together. So that's a problem. So there are a couple of things that we do. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing about the story that I know you're going to tell.
What story?
My brown paper bag.
Oh, well, you can tell that story, sweetheart. And you can laugh about. Okay, anyway.
Go ahead.
So there are a couple of things that this evening we wanted to share that we do, and that people who manage their financial affairs successfully do. And you've probably seen your parents do some of it. If you haven't, well, parents or whomever, here's some suggestions. Okay, number one, you gotta discuss your finances.
Gotta talk.
If you're having sex together, that's about as intimate thing as you can be. Then why in the world wouldn't you be dealing with your discussing?
Why
your
don't you talk about the money?
Talk about
the money. Well, I've heard people say, well, so and so don't make enough money, and I've got to bring in more money, and when I talk about the money, they get upset. And look here, y'all got to talk about the money. It messes up marriages.
So what causes them to be upset? And then you have to figure out a way to have uncomfortable but calming conversations to get it out.
Well, let's talk about first, you got to get that system. What system are you going to use for the finances? The 1, the 2, or the 3? Get a plan and
doesn't mean you don't trust the other person. Sometimes it's like, you don't trust me to handle it. No. There are 2 of us in this relationship. We need to know what the total package looks like. So if there are any holes, how can we help each other?
Right.
Because you now are you're one unit.
Right.
2 individuals that have come together.
Remember, you leave, you cleave, and you weave. You leave your parents, you leave your singleness, you cleave together, you come together, and you weave a new life, a new culture. And so you got to talk about it. And you got to say, here are things, and let me talk about money makes people insecure. Or the lack thereof can make people really insecure.
Or the impression that there isn't enough. You don't know
right.
if you're not looking at the checking account. If you're not looking at the savings account. If you're not looking at the investments, you don't know. That's insecurity.
Insecurity, and that insecurity impacts your intimacy. And then things start going off the rails because you wouldn't talk about it. We want you to talk about it. And remember that you got to have calm, open, honest conversations about the money. Okay, what else?
All right. So for us, it's a monthly review of the bills.
Yep.
Now, we've got the business side of it too. So sometimes
that might be weekly.
Yes. But figure out a time that you guys can sit down and go over all of the bills.
Right.
Now, maybe it's bi-weekly.
Do you have a budget too? Flow. Do you have a budget? Do you have a house?
Well, how can you have a budget if you don't even know all the expenses?
No, I'm saying, but that's one of the things you got that they probably don't have often is a budget. And so we want you to budget, get a budget, get some financial literacy books, sit down, read together, learn about finances, just basic.
But first, just what are all the bills?
What are bills? Put them out.
Put them out on the table. Just dump them out on the table.
Take a piece of the pen and a piece of paper.
And list them all. Now, we actually do that. We have a list of what all of our ongoing monthly expenses are. Personal, which is few, and the business, which is completely different.
Right.
Every item is itemized, and it is by date when the money comes out of our account, right. The operations account, because everything automatically comes out. That's a little bit too much detail.
Let me say how we do it.
It could be the same thing because we're not actually mailing checks.
Nope.
It's coming out of the account, automatically out of checking.
And I have set it in my bank system that every month, at the beginning of the month, X amount of money comes out and goes to the household. I never touch it. I never see it. I don't have to remember it. It's out.
Okay, so a couple of things. So related to reviewing all the finances together. The key is together. You got to figure out a time. Just say, when are we going to do this? It might start off being uncomfortable. It's like, I don't want to know what the... Put it out there.
Put it out there. Get it out there.
If you're laying down together, you can definitely do this together.
Right.
Locate all of the assets. It means all of your liabilities, your bills, everything that you own, your assets, the account numbers, the passwords, and that can be a real issue.
Yep.
The passwords. How do you keep track of all the passwords? Now there's a master passcode manager that you can use. You can just use a cheat sheet, pen and paper, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can scramble the codes in your phone. It's just whatever the two of you agree to do, so that you have a list of all of the bills, all of the investments, all of the checking accounts, and the passwords. Then the contact information for each account at all the financial institutions, including insurance,
Right.
health insurance, disability insurance, liability insurance. What if something happens and you need to be able to have access to that? Do you know the name of the advisor, the insurance advisor? How does that work? Where are those materials? And then your retirement account, your 401k, your Roth, whatever you have for the future. And how do you have it labeled? And in whose name will that...
Who's the beneficiary?
The beneficiary.
Now, I'll give you an
that,
example. Right. I met last week, first time I met with my retirement person.
For AFTRA.
For one of my radio programs.
Which is the radio artist or whatever. Okay.
So, the lady said to me, well, when are you retiring? I said, I have never thought about it because I'm not planning on retiring. I plan to talk till I die, and when I die, I'm gonna pop out the box. I'm gonna pop out the box and say, I got.
But we have to plan.
Oh, let me finish my joke. All right. I'm gonna be y'all be in the box and y'all be coming by looking at me. I'm gonna pop up and say, I got one more thing to say. Okay, now that I said my
But
joke.
I focused on having another plan just in case he doesn't have one more thing to say.
All right, so she would know it.
We have to be prepared.
That she would know it, and I told the lady, my beneficiary, my wife. Boom. And then we have a second beneficiary, as if what happens if it happens to us at the same time. That is possible. Let me tell you something, folks. Listen carefully. Nobody get out of life alive. Nobody. You know anybody get out of life alive? No. Nobody gets out of life alive. So the inevitable is going to happen to everybody at some time, one of these days.
And let me just add here, with his AFTRA money, that's like additional. That's from the singing, that's from doing the radio, and that is like a third account.
Right. But I want to get back to this about death. It's going to happen to everybody. We're going to talk about that a little more.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
No, we're running out of time.
Right.
Okay. And how are you planning on distributing your assets? We have a very, very wealthy friend who, I want to say their name out in Arizona, and they're in their 80s, moving into their 80s now. So they've started distributing like $30,000 a year. That shows you how much money. $30,000 a year to each one of their children as a way, because you can gift X amount to your children.
Right. Or you can give some to your church.
Right.
Or some to a certain charity that you are,
Right.
that you have, and you can deem it to go to your college, wherever it is that you want your.
And then it takes us into estate planning and wills and trusts.
Everybody should have a will. You should have a will.
Or the state will get it.
Now, two things. I'm going to say this. You need to have, gentlemen, you need to have life insurance, as well as ladies, you need to have life insurance. You have to have life insurance. If you got a family that will be dependent, that is responsibility. Have life insurance, and that is critical. And so I want y'all to talk about this. What happens if one of us dies? Because one of us is going to die one day, and hopefully it won't be soon, but one day. Are you prepared for the one who's left to be able to go on? That's responsibility. That's thoughtfulness. That's caring. I want her to be fine. I want her to be good if something happened to me. I want her to live less.
And you'll be fine if something happens to me.
Right.
All right, so number one, when we're talking about romance and finances, number one, you got to talk about it.
Talk.
You got to lay everything out on the line,
Yep.
pull out the dusted stuff, things that you've forgotten about, and say, okay, here are all the bills, the investments, and everything. Number two, talk about your goals. So if you talk about what are your dreams, out of your dreams will come your goals, and you will write your goals down. And a couple of things like, what's your financial independent number? What is that number? And that was really great when Brian last night in his early 30s, a friend of our son's, was saying, I know how many millions I need to have. That's why I'm so pressed now. He's a young man. I wouldn't think about that when I was 30 years old. What's my financial independence? But I'm focused on it now. What's your financial freedom number? Right. Is it 1 million? Is it 5 million? How far along the line are you in terms of your savings and in terms of your investments? Not your house. We're not talking about
not your
house because you can't. That's not readily accessible for you to sell and have access to.
Right.
So what's your financial number? Right. What if you want to relocate? Have you talked about that? He wants to be able to speak until he drops dead. I'm not interested in doing that. So I already know that we're preparing. We have looked at retirement in Florida, at least to be able to go to during the warm months. I like DC, but
during the winter months.
The winter months
to go there.
in Florida to be a snowbird. So that's something that we're working towards. Number 3, what if one spouse has a major illness? Are you prepared to handle the expenses? That's a major deal.
Right.
Because the reason that people become insolvent is that they have expenses or unexpected situations, normally health-wise, that destroys everything that they've worked on.
Right.
So that gets to the insurances and the like. And that it's interesting to know that women still earn 80% of what men earn. But only 45% of working women participate in retirement plans.
Wow.
I was like surprised about that. Only 45% of women participate in the retirement plan. Now, the study that I was reading said perhaps that's because since women are only earning 80 cents of the dollar that men earn, since they're earning less, perhaps they feel like they don't have enough to start a retirement plan. But I believe everybody should have a retirement plan. When I was young, I had a retirement plan, even though I didn't really understand the importance of it. So, long-term care insurance, retirement plan, even disability insurance. Okay? So number 4, you need to have a financial advisor because so much of this in terms of getting the max out of your dollars is oftentimes too much for one person.
Right.
You've got a day job, another job. That's not your area of expertise, not unless you're already a financial planner. So you have to interview, the two of you need to interview financial planners who can work with your 2 different styles. He's a risk taker, I'm not.
I'm much more
so
risky.
So the financial advisor that we have now, and advisors that we have now understand it and works between the 2 of us.
He knows I'm going to shoot the wad. I'm letting that go
But
for
he explains the risks and the like.
And he talks about the risk, and he says, now, do you want to risk that? Often I say, yeah. I mean, I'm planning to make more money.
And
but she'll say,
right.
She says, no, because I got a different horizon. Now, our time is up, baby.
Okay.
We're not going to get to all of this stuff. You got a lot. You got pages.
I was like, no.
Oh, we got to stop.
No,
we got to stop.
Okay.
Time is up.
Okay.
We will do this next time we come back. Y'all got to stay tuned. Send us your questions. JollyMarriage.com. Send us your questions, and when I show about next week, for sure, we'll let you know when the next time is. We're working on our schedule. Got a lot going on. If you're in the Richmond area, we're doing a marriage seminar for St. Mark Baptist Church?
St. Paul.
St. Paul, I'm sorry.
St. Paul's.
St.
Baptist
Paul's
Church.
With my friend Lance Watson. I didn't know it's Lance Watson.
Crittenden Road.
Lance Watson's church. We'll be doing a marriage seminar for them Saturday, and I'm speaking for both worship services on Sunday in Richmond, Virginia. If you're in that area, come and join us at least on Sunday. I don't know if it's sold out for Saturday. You can call the church.
Saturday is sold out.
Oh, my gosh.
The couples program is sold out. The gala Friday night and the seminar on Saturday.
Wow.
Our seminar sold out. Isn't that wonderful?
Wow. Okay. So here's what I want you to do, though. I want you to go to jollymarriage.com/webinar. Get the webinar. We will be doing another live webinar that you can ask questions in real time. We'll probably do it the end of this month. We'll do one at the end of this month. So send us an email. Say, I want to be involved in it, just so we'll know to put you on the list, that we'll have information sent to you once we get the date. You can send us an email at info@williejolly.com. INF as in Frank @williejolly.com. If you don't have the book, get the book. Make love, make money, make it last. 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage. Get it at jollymarriage.com. Not available yet on Amazon. Probably in the next few months will be, but not yet. And then our newest product, I am so excited, the new double CD, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Laugh, jollymarriage.com/live. This is a powerful CD.
It's funny.
It really is. It's hilarious. It's
entertaining.
poignant. And we talk about sex. Real deal. Real. What men want and what women want. Y'all need to listen to this together. It's not for little ears. Young ears. This is for grown-up folks. Because we talk about what men want and what women need. Okay? You hear what I'm saying? Hear what I'm saying?
All right. It's 8:30.
We got to go. 9:30, baby.
I'm sorry. 9:30.
I love y'all.
Jolly out.
Jolly out. Have a great day. God bless you. And remember that if you work at it, remember I want to say this. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails, but you must work. It takes effort. God bless you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.